Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today I saw that Mascha dropped her video for her top tarot trumps, and today we're focused on number 8, which of course is the Justice card. Now before I show you my cards, I have preferences for what I prefer to see on a Justice card, as many of you undoubtedly have preferences for what you'd like to see on any given card. For me, the key ingredients are, it's number 8. It has to be number 8. For me, 8 means a lack of chaos. It means, if we look at an 8 as a lemniscate, and even if we look at 8 in its upright position, it's a continuity, right? It's a stability. And if we have justice, true justice, it brings stability to a community. Of course, if justice is corrupt, that's a different bowl of wax. But if we see justice as a virtue, which it is, which is another thing I like to see on the Justice card, I like to see evidence that it's considered a virtue. But if justice is genuine, it brings stability to a community. Another thing besides the number 8 that I like to see, as I mentioned, indicators that it's a virtue, either by a scalloped halo on the head or by wings, because those were ways that we could identify justice as a virtue. Another thing I want to see is, I want to see her looking at us head on. I really do. Because she needs to see it all. And I don't want to see any blindfolded justice. And I can understand the argument for, justice is blind, but I think true justice means you're seeing it all. You're seeing it, Another thing I want to see in the Justice card is the scales being askew. Now, why is that? Because I don't think justice means equity. Justice means fairness. An example, a person who steals baby formula, for example, or baby food, because they have a child at home and they're in such desperate poverty and they don't have anything to feed their child, and they steal baby food, right? I think they should get a different consequence, if any, than the person who's stealing baby food or formula in order to sell it to the black market and make money and make a profit. So I think justice needs to see the reality of what's going on. And I think justice needs to weigh the person's crime against somebody else who's doing the same crime. Because I don't think they should get the same consequence, do you? And I think I've mentioned all the things I prefer to see in the Justice card. I'm taking this one away because I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I have 5 decks that I can show. Well, I have 6 decks that I can show. What happened to this card? Hold on. So for this video, I'm doing my least to favorite, all right? I don't usually do that, but today I am. Now, it's not that I don't love this deck, I do. But the Budapest by Sullivan Hissman's Tarot Sheet Revival shows a justice that doesn't have any of my ingredients but one, the scales. The scales are askew. And I guess it could be, it could be argued that she's looking straight at us, although she looks a little cross-eyed to me. But I guess we could argue that she is looking forward. Her number is not 8. But remember, in the 1400s, when this deck would have been created, or early 1500s, and this would have been a deck created for the common man, which is why I wanted to see how the common man, right, the common audience, would have seen virtue. That's why I pulled it, to look at it. And the common man would have seen fairness rather than equity as being something they were interested in. Even though it's not number 8, it's a really high-ranking number, which meant that they considered justice a very, very, very high-ranking virtue. And so we have one of my preferences. We have 2, I guess we could say 2. She doesn't have the wings of virtue, and she doesn't have a scalloped halo. So we're not really saying that she's a virtue, except for the fact that she's been given such a high number that I kind of can forgive that she's not represented as a virtue, because her number is so high in rank that I can see that they give it a lot of importance. And for that reason, I pulled this one as number 6. For number 5, the Charles VI by Marco Benedetti. She has she's not numbered. So when this, I don't know what rank she was, I have it written down somewhere, but off the top of my head, I don't recall what number she was given, but it's not numbered, so I can put it in any order I want. She is identified as a virtue because we do see the scalloped halo, which identified virtues in the region that this deck came from. She has scales of justice, which are slightly askew. Right? So it's either that the person who drew it wasn't quite accurate if they intended it to be even, but I like the accident if it is an accident. She's not looking squarely at us, but she's not blindfolded either. I don't want to see any blindfolds on justice. So she's not blindfolded. She's not looking at us, but she's not blindfolded. And we do identify her as a virtue through her halo. So I think that's my number 5. My number 6 is, I think, published by Vega Publications, and I pulled it out recently when I was doing, my readings for the film noir film Laura, and I realized that pretty soon Mascha would be doing her video, and so I figured I'd take a look at the Justice card of that deck. And we have her looking straight at us. Again, her scales, I don't think they're askew, so that's kind of lacking for me. We do see that the chair backs are probably a corruption from how wings might have evolved through the years as it emigrated from country to country. The wings might have been misunderstood as it traveled to France and Germany or wherever, and then they were misunderstood as wingback chairs rather than being the wings of virtue. But I do like that she's looking straight at us. I do like that she's number 8. And for those, because she doesn't satisfy everything, she's not my favorite. Okay, now we're getting to my favorites. The Madini would be number 3. Slightly askew scales. She is looking straight at us. The chair back is suggestive of wings, but it's not quite right. The crown she's wearing is also suggestive of a scalloped halo, but it's not quite right either. Did I mention that this one was published by Marco Benedetti? My number 2 card is Noble again by Benedetti. She's looking straight at us. They still kind of look like they could be wings. Her scales are askew, and she is number 8. So she has all the ingredients for me. And my number 1 favorite, this one was published by Artisan Tarot, the Jeanne d'Odal. The Jeanne d'Odal Justice card, I think, is my favorite. She is looking right at us. She's got the wings. We're close enough. Her scales of justice are slightly askew. Whether that was an imperfect drawing or rendering, I don't care, because they're still askew as far as I can tell. And it's drawn askew. You know, it's not just that these are slightly askew, but the line itself, he could have easily drawn it. Well, you know, I think if he wanted it to be even, the artist could have faked it, you know, but they didn't. So I think the dough doll, for me, definitely has all the ingredients for what I prefer to see. She's not blindfolded. She's not only is she not blindfolded, but she's looking straight at us. She's got the wings of virtue, so we know she's a virtuous, it's a virtue to be fair. And we know we're talking about fairness and not equity because the scales are askew. And another ingredient, of course, that I failed to mention all along was the sword, right? Because the swift sword of justice, she'll take care of the matter. She'll make a decision. She'll make a decision. So anyway, those are my favorites for justice. I hope it's been enlightening to you. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be kind, and do no harm.